Welcome back, guys. This is Python test driven development. In the last video, we wrote unit tests for our main file handler, which is which is the Geek Trust class. And before that, we have finished up the unit tests and integration tests for our family tree as well as our member classes. And Geek Trust is the only remaining class that we need to work on, and we have yet to add an integration test for it. For that, we had to merge the two. We had to merge the two branches, develop and develop Geek Trust, which we have done in the last video. And today we are going to carry on from there. And before I go into the video, I just need to tell you guys that I've gone ahead and completed the entire code base. Just because I had some emergency guideline, not emergency guidelines, I had to submit the code on the very day, so I didn't have much time to create a video and so on. But trust me, I'm going to walk you through each and every step that I made along the way. And also, the another reason is that I could have just deleted everything and started again, but the other reason I want to not redo it is because since you guys already know how to write tests now, if you guys have been following along so far, you guys most probably know how to write tests by now. Uh, so it would be a waste of time to just type code line by line, because obviously there will be mistakes and there will be some real debugging that will be going on. So I think most of it is already covered, and most of the processes are already covered. So in this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just walk you through each and every remaining portion, the remaining portion of the whole code, and you guys can try it on your own. And if you guys have trouble doing that as well, you obviously will see the whole code, so you can just copy that as well. But I highly suggest you guys try doing it on your own. With that being said, let me jump right into the code. Right, so this is where we had left off in the last video. We had merged our merged both of our branches, develop and develop Geek Trust. We are now in the develop branch. So we were in the develop branch. So now the first thing that I want to change, there is a small change that's happening. The first thing that I want to change is we want to change the get in-laws, get relationship in-laws, um, so sister-in-law and brother-in-law. So let's look at this particular let's look at sample 3, right? So we have get relationship, Atya, sister-in-law, right? So let us look at Atya's sister-in-law. So as per our rule, as per our brother-in-law or sister-in-law rule, what we have is, first of all, we have this. I forgot to have, if no not spouse, we used to return an empty list, right? So basically, we had get spouse's mother, which used to return us the mother of the spouse. If we didn't have a spouse, we used to get none. If we had a spouse, then we used to get the spouse's mother, right? That is there. Now after we got the spouse, what we used to do was we used to get the spouse's siblings, because those are our in-laws, right? So we used to get the spouse's siblings. So who is the spouse's sibling? So the spouse's mother's children is basically the spouse's siblings, right? So our spouse, it's like our wife's mother's children is our wife's brother and sister, correct? So those are her siblings, right? So that's how we used to go about it. But there's a fact, there's a small change here. As you can see, Atya does not have a spouse, right? She has no husband. So since she has no husband, we can't get the spouse's mother. If we can't get spouse's mother, means we can't get spouse's children, right? But if you look here, Atya's sister-in-law has two values, Sadfi and Karpi. How are they related? Atya has two brothers, Asva and Vyas, who have wives, right? And they are Atya's sister-in-laws, sisters-in-law. So you see, guys, What we have been doing so far is we've been trying to get spouses siblings, but we also need to calculate the sibling spouse. I mean our siblings spouse, because those are our in-laws as well, right? So our code does not cover that fact, right? Our code does not cover that fact. So that is the reason of change. So the first thing that we are going to change is we are going to add in two new functions, right? The two new functions are going to be add someone there is speaking very loudly. Sorry if you guys have to hear that, but okay, apart from that, so what we had was we had something called get spouse mother, right? So now we don't really have to use that anymore. Get spouse mother, wait a minute, where is it? uh, get spouse mother, right? So if we don't have a spouse, we return none. If we have a spouse but we don't have spouse's mother, then we return none. Otherwise we return spouse's mother, right? So we don't really need to do that because we already have a method called get siblings. So using that we can get our spouse's siblings, and using the get siblings we can get our own siblings as well, right? So what we need to do is we need to first get our own siblings, we need to get our siblings wives or husbands, those are our in-laws, right? And then we need to if we have a spouse, we need our spouse's siblings as well. So those are exactly the two methods that we are using. Those are basically get spouse where is it, siblings. So we have get sibling spouses and get spouse siblings. So get sibling spouses are our brothers and sisters wives or husbands, right? So those are our in-laws, and the other is our wives or husbands brothers and sisters, right? So first thing is, if we don't have a spouse we return null. If we do have a spouse, we call self.spouse.get siblings, that will return all the siblings of the spouse. We have already tested the get siblings method, so we know it works, right? The next is we are going to get our siblings spouses. So first of all we are going to get our siblings. If we don't have siblings we are going to return an empty list. If we do have siblings, then we are going to iterate over each of our siblings. So this is the line that we get for sibling in siblings. And if we have a sibling spouse, I mean if our siblings have a spouse, then we are going to just get our siblings, I mean we're just going to return our sibling spouse. I think you already know how list comprehensions work in Python. If not, let me give you a quick demo, right? So that it's all clear to you guys. So let's create a dummy class called X. Let's have an init method, right? And the name would be name, and let's say spouse, right? So name would be name and self.spouse would be spouse, right? So let's create a member called member1. He's going to be X and the name is going to be name1, right? And not going to have a spouse. M2 however will have a name, and as for spouse he's going to have a member which is going to be spouse. Let's call her spouse or him spouse, and let's say for the spouse's spouse value we're just going to say none for now. So if I do this, I get a list, right? X equals to this. So what I'm going to do is let's create a list, and we are going to say for member in X, right? Let's just say member dot name. So you're going to get name1 and name1 and name, right? That's how the list works. So what we're going to do is we're going to say member dot spouse. So you can see first one gives us none because obviously does not have a spouse, and the next one gives us the spouse object, right? So what we're going to do is we don't want this none. So what we'll do is if member dot spouse is not none, right? So now we get only one value, and that is our member spouse. So we can do that, and we can even remove this and we get the same result, right? That is exactly what we have done over here. We get sibling spouse for sibling in siblings, and if the sibling spouse exists, that is. So this is how we get the sibling spouse, and we get our spouse as siblings as well. And the only difference in brother-in-law and get sister-in-law is that is the gender. So if you have an old code, if you have the old code of brother-in-law and sister-in-law, I want you to get rid of it and write this code down. It's going to be results. We're going to get sibling spouses, and we're going to get spouse siblings, and then we're going to concatenate them. This is how we concatenate in Python. We have two lists, suppose say 1 2 3 4, and we have say A, B, C, and then D, right? So this is going to concatenate into one big list. So that's what we have done over here. We're going to concatenate our siblings spouses and our spouses siblings as well. If there are no results, obviously we're going to return a null empty list. If we do have a sibling, then in brother-in-law we're going to filter only males, and in sister-in-law we're going to filter only females, right? So that covers our brother-in-law and sister-in-law. With that, let us look at the tests that have changed, right? So we have four new methods, I mean two old methods that we need to change the test for, and two new methods that we have created, right? So let us go to the go to our unit tests. They are inside test members, and let us find test get sibling spouse, right? So here we are first we are going to get our siblings, and we are only going to filter those siblings that have spouses, and we are going to get their spouses. So we have patched the get siblings method, right? I mean we have mocked the get siblings method, and the return value gives us a list, and the list has three members. Basically it has three members. Two out of three members have spouses, two out of three members have spouses, and one does not. So in get sibling spouses we are only supposed to get these two members, right? Because they have spouses. The last one does not have a spouse and will not get the spouse of this particular member because it does not have a spouse, right? So C does not have a spouse. So basically this member does not have a spouse, so we will not get the spouse of this member. We will get the spouse of this member, these two members. So when we say get sibling spouses, we should get two members, right? Therefore the length of the value we get should be 2, right? Now that covers our get sibling spouses. Now what about our spouses siblings? So first of all we are going to get 0 spouses siblings because we don't have a spouse yet. So we are going to create a spouse. We create a spouse with fake member, and then we are going to create a get siblings method, and the return value will be two members, right? So our spouse will have two siblings. So now that we have created a spouse and given her two siblings, we are going to when we assert equal the return value, we should get two siblings, right? So the length is 2. So we have tested our get spouse siblings as well. Now coming to the brother-in-law and sister-in-law, I want you to delete the old tests. So this is a very important part of test-driven development. We continuously refactor our tests continuous as our code evolves, right? So this is a very important part. So I want you to get rid of that test. So if you see get brother-in-law calls two methods, right? Get brother-in-law calls get sibling spouses and get spouse siblings. So this is a unit test, and in unit test we don't go out of our function, our method, right? So what we do is we mock these two variables, these two functions, and with that what we do is in test members we first of all mock get spouse siblings, and we return two values, male and female, right? In brother-in-law only male is supposed to be filtered. Then in get sibling spouses also we do the same thing. We give two values, male and female, right? And when we test brother-in-law, when we call get brother-in-law, what happens is we get a result of 2 because we have a male here and a male here. the females are not considered. When we do the same thing for sister-in-law, we get a length of 2 because we get only 2 females, right? So 2 females and 2 males. So these are all the tests that we need to do. The other test might be for empty values. We can get an empty value as well, but that we don't really need to test, because as long as these are getting filtered properly, the values are correct, it means, right? So everything has been executed properly. Now we can say that everything has been executed properly. So these were the tests that you need to refactor, and 2 tests that you needed to add. And as for get spouse's mother, although we are not using it, I want you to leave it there. I don't want you to remove it, so leave it as it is, right? It serves as a benchmark, as in when we added these new methods and we changed the get brother-in-law and get sister-in-law's code, we didn't want to break anything that was already there, right? So if any of our tests would fail, then we would know that we had done something wrong. But when we wrote this, when I wrote these tests, nothing failed, so our code is good to go. The same thing in our integration test. So in our integration test, we don't really need to change anything, because we again, this serves as a benchmark for our code, as in our code did not fail even when we changed things, right? So no changes in the integration test required. Now with that, we will have successfully refactored our code as well. Now moving on to another small change that I have made is in the family tree, right? So in get relationships, we used to return a list. If you remember, the list would only have the names of the objects. Whatever get relationship would return to us, we used to just return their names, right? It used to be a list of names. Now I want you to just join it with a space. So how does this work? If you guys already don't know, suppose I have a list and it is 1, 2, 3, and if I want to join them with, say, x is the joining factor, this will give me an error, because obviously it expects a string, right? But luckily our names are all strings. So what we're going to do is A, B, C. So you see A, X, B, X, C. So these have been joined as a single string with X in between. So similarly, I just want you guys to join it with a space. Just have a blank space over there, and you guys have A space B space C. So similarly, what we had was, we used to get names of people, right? Amba and Junkie, something like that, right? So I just want you guys to join it with a space, so that we get this particular string, because that's what we need to print, right? We don't print a list, we print values like these, right? These are one string. These are a complete, I mean, this is a complete string, not lists. So now that we have that, since get relationship now returns a string rather than a list, we need to make sure we set the tests accordingly. So in family tree, go to get relationships, and if you look at the results, this is the only place where you had a list. The last test case, I mean the last assert statement, we had a list like this. So instead, I want you to turn it into a string, right? Similarly, go to the integration test, and then in the last part, son A and son B, it probably is a list right now. I just want you to convert it to a string. So now with that, all of our unit and integration tests are done, and our unit test for our GeekTrust file has been done. And now we are finally coming into the integration part, right? So in GeekTrust, we tested all these methods out: construct, add child method call, add spouse method call, get relationship method call, translate, execute, and log as well. We also unit tested the setup thing. And since all of these are working properly, what we did was, we created a main method. The main method first calls the setup method. Actually, I'll just come into the main method a little later. So Now that we know setup and log and everything has been called properly, what we are going to do is we have a set of instructions, right? So we need to set up our family tree. So our family tree is basically this particular family tree, right? And we need to set that up. So what I've done is, first of all, I've added Shan, then Anga, I've done add. So these are the commands I want. I'll go to the commands. First is add child Shan male, then add spouse Shan Anga female, then we have add child Chit, um, add child Anga Chit. You get the point, right? We add child these things, then we add spouse, then we again add child, then we again add spouse. So these are all the commands that does that sets up our entire code, I mean our entire family tree. So the setup is this is the whole setup instruction. So what we are going to do is, this serves as a perfect uh, file, I mean perfect set of instructions to for our integration test, right? So what we are going to do is we are going to see if all of this, for example, the first statement should be converted into set self dot family tree dot add child, and it should have Shan male, right? This is what it should convert into. The second statement should convert into self dot family tree add spouse and Shan, sorry, the name Anga will be first, Anga female, and then Shan. So this is what it should be converted into, right? So we are just going to test if all of our uh, method calls are actually made correctly or not. So in our integration test, we just convert each of those into these functions. So the first one is supposed to convert into this, it's supposed to convert into this, and all that, right? So when we call so we first of all we set up our GeekTrust app, right? Then we say self.geektrust-app.translate, and we pass our file setup.instructions.txt, and translate, as you guys know from the previous video, just one video before this, that translate will translate all of our instructions into method call strings, right? It will translate into this. So these are all the expected method calls, call strings, and our result should equal this particular value, right? And our test passed, so it means our translate method worked perfectly. Next we are going to test execute. Now if you know, execute takes in this value and converts, gives us the result, right? So we called self.geektrust-app execute, and the parameter that we passed, I mean the argument that we passed, was all of this. Basically copied this from here, we copied this and then we pasted it over here, and we get a result from the execute, right? So the first one, if it is successful, we are supposed to get child addition succeeded, then spouse addition succeeded, child addition succeeded, child addition succeeded, child addition succeeded, child addition succeeded is the result, and so on, right? So that's what we have done. So self.assert equal result should be this particular list, right? Cool. So now that we know this works, we've already tested other methods in the unit test, and we don't really need to test them in the integration test, because now that we know that the result is correct, obviously according to our unit test the other methods are functioning correctly, and the other methods don't really do much. They just the GeekTrust method is log setup, right? So setup just calls translate and execute. So if two of those are working correctly, then this will work correctly, which means we have tested both of them in the integration test and both of them are working correctly, so setup will work properly. Same thing for log. So log only does print, so it will only print those results out, so there's nothing there to test, right? We did test it in the unit test, but there's nothing more to test in the integration test. So one last time, let us look at the unit test. So if you can see here, we just did that in the last video. So in the mock, in test log, what we did was we just mock the print statement, and then we pass this entire list, and the last value that was passed, we just did an assert call with on the mock print, and the last value is what is passed there. So it's because first this is passed, then this is passed, and this is the last value with which it is called. So we don't really need to test all of that. Okay, so now that we have done our integration and our unit tests completely, it's time to finally create our system test. So what do we do in our system test? So well, our system test is basically, we are going to pass in all of these commands that we have over here. Add child Chitra Arya female, get relationship Lavanya maternal aunt, get relationship Arya siblings, and then we have add child Pyali Srutak male, get relationship Pyali son, add child Asvavani female, get relationship Vasa siblings, get relationship Atya and sister-in-law, right? So what I've done is I've created a file called instructions.txt, and I've added all of those commands over here, right? So you can pause the video and copy these as well. By the way, if you don't already have the setup instructions, it's called setup.instructions.txt, and these are all the commands, so you can pause the video and copy that as well. But yeah, but you can actually copy it from GitHub as well. I have a GitHub repo for this. You have seen that we have a GitHub repo for this, so you can copy that from there as well. And now the instructions.txt, right? These are all the test cases that Geek Trust has given us, and we also have the results as well. So for these three commands, we have these three results, right? For these two commands, we have the results person not found and person not found right over here. For these two results, we have these two results, and for get relationship, we have Sadhvi and Kirby, right? So now what I have done is, in our final system test, we create a system folder in it, test system. So we set up a Geek Trust app, and what we do is we mock the log method, because we want to see if the log method is called with a particular result or not, and we call Geek Trust app main with the instructions.txt, the file which I showed you right now, instructions.txt. We call it with this, and now let us look at what the Geek Trust main method does. First of all, it sets up with our setup instructions.txt. So using these instructions, it sets up the whole family tree. Once that is done, it translates all of our commands, executes those commands, and gives us the result, right? So the log method will have the results. The results will be passed to the log method. So we just mock the log results out, mock the log method, and we see if the mocked log method is called with appropriate results or not. That is exactly what we've done. So we have mocked the log method, we've called the app main, so mock log was called, and what was it called with? It should be called with the desired results. So it should be called with child addition succeeded, Arya junkie ahead, whatever has been given over here. Child addition succeeded, Arya junkie ahit, and then we have person not found, child addition failed, none, and Sadhvi Karpi, right? That's exactly what it is. Child addition succeeded, Arya junkie ahit, person not found, child addition failed, none, Sadhvi Karpi. So this is what the mock log is called with, because we've replaced the log with our mock log, right? So with this, when this test passes, we can proudly say that all of our tests have passed and our system is then complete, right? So how do we test? How do we perform system tests? It's pretty simple. These are all the scripts. So before, what we had, by the way, just go into Travis YAML and copy this out in your Travis YAML as well. Before, we had only two of these. We had test integration and test unit. Now we add test system as well, and in the end we have a flake8 command. So what is flake8? Flake8 is basically a linter. What I want you guys to do is, I want you guys to press F1 here, and as you can see, there are two things here. So just type lint and you will get enable linting and select linter. First thing you do is select the linter. I am going to pick flake 8, then press F1 again and say enable linting. Click on, right? So with that your linting will be on, and as soon as your linting is on, you'll get red files over here. Your files will change color. That is because there are a lot of out of line, out of too long lines and all that. Let me give you a demo, right? Let's say this function, let's just create a long function here. Oh man, let's just call it, this is the difficulty, right? I'm going to say nothing over here, just self, and then we're going to do pass, and then let's create a line over here, 4 spaces over here. As you can see, this says line is too long, this says blank line contains white space, and this says too many blank lines, as in between methods you're supposed to have only one line. You see, this is what a linter does. Once you remove this, you see the too many blank lines is removed because now there's only one line in between these two methods, and we have removed the blank line here as well. And it says the function name is too long, so we are going to have to make it short, right? But we don't really need that, so we're going to delete all that, right? Yep. So that's how linting works, and in the end I want you to have a flake 8 command as well. So when you type in python -m unit test all this in your terminal, just do and flake 8 as well and hit enter. You'll get a flake 8 analysis of your code, as in where there are too many blank lines or all that. So it's just formatting of your code, right? So this is your new Travis YAML file as well. With that, these are all the changes that you need to make, and you have successfully set up the whole code base, and you can finally push into GitHub. That is what I have done. So what I did was, first of all I completed the system over here in origin develop, then I merged it to master and I said project complete. The merge message was project complete. Then I updated my readme, so my readme is now updated. So this is my new readme. It just says requirement is Python this, instructions are to build are these installed requirements, and then git trust, right? By the way guys, I need to talk about this particular geek trust part, this particular part, right? Because the main, I've discussed what the main does. I haven't discussed what if name equals to main does or sysrp does, right? So let us discuss that real quick, because I want you guys to have real clarity. Although my coding videos are pretty boring, I want you guys to understand. Name is a special variable in Python. You see that name, the value of name is main. It's a keyword, name underscore underscore, right? Let's see how it works in real time. So I'm going to create I'm going to create a test Python folder. I'm going to cd into test Python folder. Don't do any of this because it's just for show. So let's create a main.py, right? And we're just going to say insert if name equals, I hope you guys can see this. I'm going to zoom in a little if you guys can't. If name equals main, we say print hello world, right? Then we're going to have another variable called def. This will be imported, and this will be imported with basically print name underscore underscore name underscore underscore name, right? So let's do one thing. Let's first print this, let's first execute this will be imported and hello world, right? So python main.py, you see this will be imported, first of all printed main and then none. Why is there a none variable there? Alright, because it returns none, sorry about that. So it returns none, so let's say return 1. So now it's going to first print, then it's going to print the return value, and then it's going to print hello world. So it's like basically we just don't even need to print this, we're just going to call this will be imported, right? Now when we type python main.py, this is the name value and this is print hello world, right? Let's create another called lib.py, and this is going to say from main import this will be imported, right? So and here what we're going to do is if name equals main, we're not going to print hello world because that is printed by our main file, right? So we're going to say this is lib, right? And we're going to say this will be imported. Let's do that. Let's do python lib.py. You see that the name is main, it's not underscore underscore main. So it's actually, let's do one thing. Now this is a bit confusing, so I'll just do this. So let's rename our main.py to this is the executable.py, right? And now what we'll do is let's go into lib.py, and from main, since main does not exist, executable, import this, right? So if we do python executable.py, we get the name is underscore underscore main and we get hello world, right? But if we do python lib.py, we get executable, right? What just happened over here? So we called this will be imported, right? What does this will be imported print? This will be imported, this will be so that function this will be imported basically prints the name, and as you can see the name is now executable. So this is what underscore underscore name is. When you're running the python file from the terminal itself, when you're running the file like this main.py, the value for underscore underscore name will be underscore underscore name main underscore underscore, that's what it is. But if you import it, then the value for that underscore underscore name will be it will be the name of the file, it will be the file name. Yeah, so that's what happened over here. When we called this will be imported in the other file in lib.py, when we called this method, it basically printed the underscore name, right? So the underscore name's value for this was executable because it came from executable, right? So this is how it works. So you can see we didn't even get hello world because the name was not main for executable. When we import executable, we the name space the value for underscore name in this file, the executable file, becomes executable, right? I hope you understand. I hope I'm not confusing you. So this is a very good way in, I mean this is a way in which Python segregates, I mean not segregates, separates out the main function. So whenever you type python lib.py, only the part inside this is executed, right? I mean only then the part inside this is executed, because if you're importing it somewhere, then the names, the value for this name will change. It will not be underscore main anymore. So this particular part will not be executed when you import this file somewhere else. So that is the whole point of underscore underscore name very equals to underscore underscore main. So I hope you understood that. Sorry about that, this is not Geeks for Geeks, that's a whole another lesson. So now with that, what I did was finally merged it into the main, and then I updated the readme. And with that, guys, our entire coding session comes to an end here. We have learned Python test driven development, and I do plan to have future videos as well. If you liked this video series, please press the like button and subscribe button. I also have some great news for you guys over here. So I'm just going to log in into GeekTrust, and I'm going to show you the result of our code. So let us go to my code evaluation. I'm just going to use GitHub because I've linked my GitHub repository over here. And sorry about that. And let us go to 1 second, guys. Let us go to our GeekTrust here. We're just going to go to our code evaluation part, and as you can see, our best score is 3.8, and we did all of our tests passed. We got the bronze membership badge, and we got our very own Python badge, and we got all of our functional modeling test badge, our extensibility badge, our readability badge, our logic badge, data structure badge, correctness badge. The only badge we did not get is the build badge. And why is that? Because see guys, in Python, if you want to create a command line interface, a CLI tool, you usually use a tool called Click. And since this was a core Python tutorial, we did not use that. How we usually set up our command line interfaces, we create something called setup.py, and this is what it looks like, packaging Python projects, right? And we have something called packaging tutorial. We create a setup.py over here. Let me zoom this a little bit more. We have setup.py over here, right? We create a setup.py, and this is what the setup.py looks like. It opens up and it sets up all these things and blah blah blah, and it's basic. If you have worked with npm or node.js or react.js, whatever, if you worked with npm, you've probably seen package.json, right? That is exactly setup what setup.py does. So it's a build tool basically. So if we had done this, we would have gotten probably more than 4 point something in GeekTrust, but we didn't do this, so we didn't get the build badge. And sadly, we didn't get the build badge, so our Python, we just got a score of 3.8, but that's good enough, guys. We learned a lot, hopefully. Hopefully, you guys learned a lot from this tutorial. And about future videos, I do plan on getting a video on data structures algorithms, on design patterns, and since I do web development with Python, I'm going to have a course on a tutorial on that as well. So if you guys support me, I will definitely get those videos out. So before you start learning any other programming language, these are all the things that you need to learn. The first thing you need to learn is the core syntax. Then you need to learn data structures and algorithms, because you're going to learn a lot of you're going to learn a lot of abstract data types. For example, in Python, you learn about lists, you learn about dictionaries, you learn about sets, tuples, and all that. So you need to know about those things. And while learning data structures and algorithms, you're probably very likely to use these things. In our family tree, we created, I don't know if you guys realized, but we created a graph, right? Because we had nodes and we had dictionary to hold those nodes. That is basically how a graph data structure works in Python. That is how we make graphs in Python. So Uh, Probably you're going to use dictionaries and all that in other programming languages as well when you'll be creating data structures and algorithms. If you want to create trees, you'll probably use a class. You'll probably use you'll I think you'll not use a dictionary, but you'll use a class. If you want to create graphs, you'll use a dictionary. You'll have lists and all that. So it's the first step. You learn the core programming language, then you go into data structures and algorithms, and the next big thing is design patterns, guys. It's very important to know design patterns, and I will create a course, a tutorial on that as well, if you guys support me, that is. And then we're going to get into applications, as in we're going to be building web scrapers. And since I do web development, we're going to be looking at web development with Python. And if a tutorial on web development comes out, it's probably going to be with microservices, because I don't want you guys to go on creating boring monolithic programs, right? Because monolith is out now. So if I create a tutorial on Flask web development, it's probably going to be about microservices with all Docker containers, reverse proxy, all the good thing, event modeling, and OAuth 2, all of those things will be covered there. So hopefully you guys support me, and if you do, press the subscribe button, hit the like button, and with that, guys, I leave you guys on this video tutorial. I hope you guys learned something from this, and I hope it was not too boring. So with that said, see you guys in the next tutorial series.